The Phantom Hitchhiker. The night was thick with rain as Jake, a seasoned trucker, navigated the desolate stretch of highway. The windshield wipers battled the torrential downpour, casting eerie shadows on the road ahead. As he rounded a bend, he spotted a solitary figure on the side of the road. It was a young woman drenched and shivering in the cold. Jake, feeling a sense of obligation, pulled his rig to the shoulder and rolled down the window. The woman approached, her face obscured by strands of wet, matted hair. Without saying a word, she climbed into the cab, leaving a trail of water in her wake. Jake hesitated for a moment, then asked, "Where are you headed?" No response. The silence hung thick in the air as Jake continued down the highway. After a few miles, he stole a glance at his passenger, only to find an empty seat beside him. Panic set in as he scanned the cabin, but there was no sign of the mysterious hitchhiker. Legend had it that a young woman had perished in a car accident on that very stretch of highway, and her ghost was said to roam the roads, seeking rides from unsuspecting drivers. Jake, shaken to his core, pressed on through the storm, haunted by the phantom hitchhiker that vanished into the night. The haunted rest stop. Mike, a weary traveler, found himself navigating a desolate stretch of highway in the dead of night. The rain pelted his windshield, and fatigue weighed heavy on his shoulders. Spotting a dimly lit rest stop in the distance, he pulled in, hoping to find solace from the storm. The rest stop, surrounded by darkness, seemed abandoned. Mike, however, pressed on, needing a break from the relentless rain. As he entered the restroom, he noticed a flickering light and distant whispers echoing through the empty corridor. Uneasy, he quickened his pace, finishing his business as swiftly as possible. In front of the restroom mirror, a shadowy figure appeared. The temperature in the room dropped, and the whispers grew more insistent. "Leave before it's too late," the voice urged. Panic surged through Mike as he stumbled backward, crashing into the door. He fled the rest stop, the whispers echoing in his ears, and never looked back. To this day, the rest stop remains abandoned, a place where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of that haunting voice linger in the shadows. The Vanishing Co-Driver. Samantha, a seasoned long-haul trucker, crisscrossed the country with her trusted co-driver Joe. The two had shared countless miles and stories, forging a bond that went beyond the open road. One fateful night, as they navigated a desolate highway, Joe suddenly exclaimed, "Did you see that? Someone on the road?" Samantha, cautious but curious, slowed the truck. Joe insisted on investigating, assuring Samantha that he saw a figure on the roadside. Reluctantly, Samantha pulled to a stop, and Joe stepped out into the night. Minutes passed, but Joe didn't return. Samantha, growing increasingly anxious, grabbed a flashlight and ventured outside. She called out into the darkness, the only response being the howling wind. There was no sign of Joe. The authorities were called, and an exhaustive search was conducted, but Joe had seemingly vanished into thin air. To this day, the mystery of the vanishing co-driver remains unsolved, leaving Samantha haunted by the memory of that desolate highway and the friend who disappeared without a trace. The cursed cargo. Jerry, a seasoned freight handler, had seen his fair share of peculiar shipments. Still, nothing prepared him for the crate labeled "cursed artifacts" that arrived one ominous night. The air around the crate seemed to crackle with an otherworldly energy, sending shivers down Jerry's spine. Ignoring the warnings from his colleagues, Jerry set about unloading the mysterious cargo. As he touched an ancient-looking mask, a chilling wind swept through the warehouse. Shadows danced on the walls and whispers filled the air, each word carrying a sinister tone. Terrified, Jerry dropped the mask, and the paranormal activity ceased as abruptly as it had begun. The following day, the crate was gone, as if it had never been there. Jerry, left with an unsettling feeling, couldn't shake the sense that the cursed artifacts had found a new host, and he had unwittingly unleashed something malevolent into the world. The eerie radio transmission. Lisa, a trucker who spent her nights traversing the lonely highways, often relied on her CB radio to break the monotony. One night, as she tuned into an unfamiliar frequency, static filled the airwaves. Intrigued, she adjusted the dial until a distorted voice emerged from the speaker, a voice that seemed to know her every move. The voice spoke her name, described the cargo she was hauling, and even mentioned the diner where she planned to take a break. Panic set in as Lisa fumbled to change channels, but the eerie transmission persisted, following her every move on the desolate highway. Doubt crept into Lisa's mind. Was it a prank, a stalker, or something more supernatural? As the miles passed, the voice continued its haunting commentary, leaving Lisa to question whether she was dealing with a force beyond the realm of the living. The Phantom Toll Booth. Mark, a toll booth operator working the graveyard shift, found himself stationed at a desolate stretch of highway. The nights were long, and the toll plaza was often devoid of life. One night, a mysterious car with tinted windows approached, slowing to a stop at the toll booth. Mark, expecting a routine transaction, looked up to greet the driver. However, as he glanced back down to make change, the car seemed to vanish into thin air. Perplexed, Mark checked the surveillance footage, half expecting to find a glitch in the system. To his horror, the footage revealed the toll booth passing through the car itself. Night after night, the phantom vehicle returned, always disappearing before Mark could make sense of the inexplicable phenomenon. The toll booth became a nexus between the living and the unknown, leaving Mark to grapple with the unsettling reality that he was sharing his desolate post with something that defied explanation. The Vanishing Road Crew, a road maintenance crew tasked with repairing a notorious section of highway plagued by accidents, found themselves working through the night. As they labored under the cold glow of their work lights, strange occurrences unfolded. Tools went missing, and shadowy figures darted between the construction equipment. When the crew attempted to radio for help, a distorted voice warned them to leave immediately. Fear and confusion gripped the crew as they packed up their gear, ready to abandon the haunted stretch of road. As they drove away, they noticed something peculiar. The repaired road extended far beyond its original boundaries, leading to another worldly dimension. The crew, caught between terror and disbelief, found themselves at the mercy of forces